Teach me about a console unlike any other. Cutting-edge HD graphics, a revolutionary gamepad, a library of the world's best exclusive games. This console is not the Wii U.
The Wii U failed horribly. Wedged between two of the biggest successes in gaming history, the Wii U is the embarrassing middle child everyone will acknowledge, but only when you have to. A confusing new gamepad, questionable marketing, and a big fat U instead of a 2. Well, the Wii U's horrific failure is what some of us like to call in the profession of business. Duh. But that's all in the past. We're now in the present. It's been well over a decade since the Wii U's disastrous launch, and with such a rich story and plethora of unplayed games, my collector's senses have been tingling. You see, I never owned this tablet of failure, and I've always been interested in what I missed out on. What made the console fail so horribly? Is the gamepad as gimmicky as people say? What are the remaining exclusive games? Do they suck? And just how worth it is collecting a Wii U all these years later? Well, to fully appreciate the games we have left, the 6 that there are, we need to understand why exactly the Wii U failed to capture an audience. And it all starts with this thing. Remember the Wii? Worldwide phenomenon? 5th highest selling home console of all time? That thing in your grandma's house that played Wii Sports? Well, these guys remembered it too. It was such a financial slam dunk of an idea, they'd be fools to not just recreate it for their next system. So taking after PlayStation's simple yet effective naming strategy, at E3 2011, Nintendo announced the Wii 2.
Wii U.
Wait, what? Being a hopeless nerd now, it's obvious this is them revealing their next generation console, but to the average 2011 consumer with no knowledge of console generations, it's like they were trying to trick you, only referring to the gamepad as a new controller. Draw on the new controller, play only on the new controller. The dang console doesn't even show up in the entire presentation, save for right there. So lots of people, me included, were justified in thinking this was just another add-on to the Wii, considering they did it before. So like 8.03 billion people in the world, I did not buy this thing when it came out, because I didn't know what this thing was when it came out. Most casual gamers that the Wii picked up just didn't know what the darn thing was. But even for the ones that did, they just didn't want it.
Have you heard of the Wii U?
No.
No. The Wii U? No.
No.
The Wii what?
The world already got its fix of the motion control console craze, so that crowd of casual gamers and weirdly athletic grandmas saw the fancy new graphics and flashy games and said, peace. And so the Wii U became the biggest console flop since ever. Yeah, it was probably this thing. But in the modern era of consoles between the big three, the Wii U didn't just underperform. It overfailed, ending its run with just over 13 million units sold. And if you don't know if that's good or not, let me put it into perspective. It sold just as much as the Mark III Master System. Now you may be asking, what the heck is even that? And the answer to that would be, exactly. Now you'd think with such a short supply out there and with such a rich history of online console selling, this thing's price would be worth so much it would make Wario blush. But surprisingly, it's actually pretty cheap. See, what seems to happen with under-successes like the GameCube and Wii U is that the console itself isn't too hard to find. The games, on the other hand? Oh boy. So I think it's just about that time. Ladies and gentlemen, let us finally collect the greatest Wii U games of all time. I already own them. Yep, it's no secret that the second the Switch started to show any sign of success, Nintendo looked at all their flopped games from the Wii U and gave them the old deluxe treatment, porting them over to the Switch. Sometimes with a wealth of content, and sometimes not so much. Pikmin 3 with all the DLC and new story content? Well, alright. Mario 3D World with new controls, faster movement, and a brand new side campaign? Count me in. The same exact DK game, but at full price with no other changes than Funky Kong. And after years of deluxes, definitive editions, and plus Bowser's Furies, this is the remaining roster we have of Wii U exclusives. It's safe to say that if any game here was gonna be ported to the Switch, it would have happened by now. As for why they haven't been ported, well, the reasons seem to range anywhere from difficulty mapping gamepad inputs and asynchronous gameplay to the Switch to that. So as I go over and evaluate each remaining exclusive game to gauge if collecting a Wii U is worth it, I'm gonna sort them into one of three categories: good, great, and how about you stay on the Wii U? And if averaging all the ratings of the games here that aren't remasters or remakes gives me any indication, yep. But I'm not discouraged. If anything, I'm more excited to try out some franchises I've never even played before, with games I've been hearing about for ages. Splatoon, Paper Mario, definitely not Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. But how do we get these games? Because little known fact, they're all discontinued. If you walk into your local GameStop asking about a Wii U, well, you'll only make that mistake once. You see, as of immediately when the Switch came out, the Wii U and all of its games were quickly swept under the rug, ignored, and therefore thrown to the wolves of the free market. Which basically means prices can range anywhere from, alright, that's pretty good, to duh! Yeah, it's tough out here, and the prices are wildly different depending on the game. Mario Party 10 is $10? Well, that makes sense. Wii Sports Club? What? And it's not like auctions are any better. You'd think since some of these games were so wildly unpopular they couldn't even make sales charts, you can just sneak in and grab the lowest bid. Who else is even gonna be looking for these, right? Dude, nothing in my life has been as weird as getting in a bidding war with someone over Wii Fit U. But it's important not to get too carried away. If you go spending too much money on old retro games, you're gonna start to get some suspicious emails. So we need to be extra fiscally responsible. Yes, that was needed. But even with spending an arm and a few hundred legs, that still isn't all the remaining exclusive games for the Wii U. Because where all these games here through some expert deal making cost around this much, these few here would cost that much. But what do we do? What if you don't want to pay a down payment on a house for Game & Wario? Well, there's actually this cool thing called emulation, which allows us to play some of the soul-costing games without breaking the bank. But emulating games is more of a break glass in case of emergency here. So as long as you legally acquire an officially manufactured video game through lawful purchasing means, you can emulate it. But because I'm a physical media freak, to my wallet's horror, I made sure to snag the most important titles for that authentic Wii U experience, even if it hurts. But now that we have all of our equipment, there's still one problem. My setup to house these games is a wee bit horrifically stuffy. Between my PS4, GameCube, Xbox, and limited edition Bob Ross toaster, I cannot fit a Wii U here, which means we've got some expanding to do. So may I introduce to you the American Dream. This one's a long time coming, because if you're a fellow loony like me, the way everything looks in your collection is almost as important as functionality itself. So for the longest time without proper space, some of the lesser games here had to be stored in some undignified places. With the extra shelf edition, everything now has room to breathe. Most of the games now take up the top 4 spots, with the bottom 2 bins being used for everything that should stay hidden. So with all that being said, why don't we get right into using this Wii U? Now, I only ever had a Wii as a kid and recently the Switch, so the Wii U is all new ground for me. I've heard opinions here and there, it didn't take enough risks, the games were too safe, and the marketing made you ashamed to even own it. Right off the bat, disregarding the scary similarity to the Wii, it sure does look good when it's all set up. The console can flip on its side and sit up next to the gamepad. Oh yeah, that's clean. And oh yeah, the gamepad. I honestly thought this would be an ancient piece of old tech I'd have to lug around, considering it's from the year 2012. But man, the gamepad is kind of amazing for the time. Although you can tell now that the Switch is their true vision of what they wanted the Wii U to be, it does have some pluses over the Switch. For one, it's surprisingly light due to the beefy components being in the console itself and not the gamepad. And it just feels great to hold. And like any good Wii system, I gotta make my Mii. But this time, the gamepad has a camera built in that will scan your face and make a Mii for you. What is this, 2018? The future is crazy! But when you first boot up this bad boy, oh man, I miss console menus like this. Compared to the Switch's corporate-feeling 15-minute unpaid lunch break blocky menu, the Wii U is a slap in the face with that good old Nintendo charm. Console menus in the grand scheme of things aren't that big a deal, but considering it's the first impression you get out of a console, the Wii U hits it out of the park. It's gotta be one of the best out there. But with my Mii ready, it's time to play the first game on the list. When the Wii U launched in 2012, it had, count 'em, 3 first-party releases, with 2 remaining exclusive to the Wii U, the surprisingly good Nintendo Land and Sing Party. The other non-exclusive launch title was New Super Mario Bros. U, real creative name, which was a somewhat improved version of the new Super Mario Bros. Formula, but after 3 carbon copy 2D Mario games, and as a launch title, yeah, let's just say underwhelming. As of system impact it had on the Wii U, I'm guessing it was pushed as a launch title to get a multiplayer Mario game into people's hands. But considering Nintendo Land is infinitely better and literally does both of those things, yeah, sorta confused why they even felt compelled to make another samey Mario Bros. Game, especially since it barely utilizes the gamepad. But enough stepping around the bushes. Let's finally get to the first Wii U exclusive title. You can tell I like this one. The widely successful and universally adored. Dude, Nintendo Land is so good. Besides Smash 4, this is the only game on the list that I've actually played before collecting a Wii U. Playing this way back at launch at a friend's house, and I remember it being so much fun. It was the first time I played with the Wii Motion Plus as well, and seeing the remote be able to pick up your full movements with gyro was mind-blowing at first. But everything from your childhood is better. Sonic 06 was one of my favorite games as a kid. Still embarrassed. So Nintendo Land isn't nearly as good as I remember, right? Dude. It might be better. With this being the first game on the Wii U, you'd think it would be nothing more than a tech demo with bare bones gameplay, sorta like Wii Sports. And for the most part, you're right. There's no sprawling story mode or high skill ceiling gameplay, just a little thing called infinite replayability. Right away, the game makes a great first impression with a good old-fashioned hub world. And oh yeah, those HD visuals are showing. You see, I'm what you call a sucker for absolutely useless fluff. Things like hub worlds in a game like this, yeah, it's completely unneeded. But you'll catch me dead before I select minigames from a home screen. But although I could probably blush about everything but the main part of this game for another hour and 40 minutes, how are the minigames? Well, there's 12 to choose from here, with the whole gimmick being that these are all based off existing Nintendo games. Mario Chase is from Mario, Metroid Blast is from Metroid, and Ninja Castle is from this Japanese exclusive Famicom game called...
謎の村雨城
Sorry, sore throat. But yeah, it's really cool that all the minigames here are based on a franchise, with some deep cuts in there too, like Balloon Fight and Octopus Dance. And sure, these are the only 2 that suck, but it's cool that they're here. In fact, most of the solo ones are fun for a bit, but only a few I would say are great. But that's because these are the ones you're looking for, the multiplayer. Although it's harder to wrangle some people to sit down and play nowadays, when you do, these minigames never get old, with games like Mario Chase and Luigi's Ghost Mansion still being standouts. Having to hunt for the ghost while the goober on the gamepad tries to grab the trackers will never not be fun, and somehow scary. Mario Chase especially is my personal favorite. Basically a big game of tag, with Toads chasing Mario. But whereas all the Toads are on the TV and can only see what's right in front of them, Mario's on the gamepad and can see exactly where everyone's at on the map. This makes it a desperate sprint to catch Mario before the time runs out, communicating what zone he's in and trying to cut him off. These 2 games in particular really did a good job showing off the gamepad's big new feature. Because, oh yeah, the Wii U's big selling point, or what should have been the selling point besides buy Amiibo, with that being asynchronous gameplay, with one person playing on the TV and another person playing on the gamepad. Or in simpler terms, you see one thing and you know that guy on the gamepad with the more advantageous view? Kill him. And this asynchronous gameplay concept is a game changer. Like literal game, as in singular. It peaks here. But we'll get there when we get there. They really did strike gold here, making the launch title a minigame collection. Yeah, they did it on the Wii too with Wii Sports, but I'd argue Nintendo Land does a much better job, expertly showing off all the features the gamepad is capable of, with the bonus being, oh my gosh, these are so much fun. Metroid showing off the gyro aiming, Animal Crossing having dual stick control, and Luigi's Ghost Mansion with asynchronous gameplay. There is also a camera in Mario Chase, but besides this one sub feature of seeing the goon chasing you on the gamepad, I do wonder how much this camera ate into the production cost of the Wii U just for it to be used in like 3 games after this. But it's not all just multiplayer either. My favorite to play solo was Legend of Zelda Battle Quest. The bow and arrow are fun, sure, but most importantly, swinging that sword. Man, no matter how old I get, swinging my Wiimote will never not be fun. Slightly emasculating, but so much fun. I was really only planning on dipping my toes into these mini games because I have a little bit of all of this to go over, but a few were so fun, I just kept queuing up the next level. Now, in a world where the Wii U wasn't a god-awful flopping disappointment tablet, I could see how this game was the building block that the Wii U's Mondo success was built on. Because just think about it. It perfectly shows every new feature with the gamepad, introduces you to all the big hitting franchises, doesn't have Fire Emblem, and on top of all of that, it's actually fun. This is a quadruple whammy right here. Nintendo Land is a great game, and an excellent start for the Wii U. And if I was right back at launch at the start of this thing, I would be nothing but sunshine and rainbows, cause the future of this console is looking mighty bright. Unfortunately for us, this is when things started to get shaky. Now, to my utter shock, the Wii U actually launched pretty dang good sales-wise, with it reaching just a little short of the Wii in the first few months. And the Wii was a runaway sales success, so with a pretty great launch lineup, healthy third-party games, and full backwards compatibility with the Wii U sales naturally plummeted into the ground, sending the entire company into freefall. Yeah, after a slightly lackluster holiday season, Nintendo adjusted their sales forecast for the next year from a solid 9 million sales to 2.8 million. And they didn't even hit it! And just like that, the Wii U was on track to become the worst flop in modern console history. But Nintendo wasn't gonna go down without a fight. The greatest minds at Nintendo got together and devised a plan to revitalize the Wii U, modernize their brand. And on February 2013, Nintendo announced the Year of Luigi, an entire year with brand new games, merchandise, and goodies featuring the iconic Green Plumber. Everything was on the line here. The fate of the Wii U would be decided. Luigi was their last hope. They lost $456 million. We got Dr. Luigi though. In all seriousness, the Year of Luigi wasn't exactly the reason they lost that much money, but it sure didn't help save the Wii U's plummet into obscurity. Now I'm sure I could lore dump about the Year of Luigi for hours some other day, but it was just salt in the wound that was the horrific failure the Wii U was shaping to be. And it sucks, because it was actually a really cool idea I wish they did more of. Out of it we got Luigi's Mansion 2, Luigi U, Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and the only proper Wii U exclusive, Dr. Luigi. I've never played a Dr. Mario game before because, oh my gosh, it goes so fast for me to think properly. And Dr. Luigi is no different. To recap for my non-Dr. Mario enthusiasts out there, in the base Dr. Mario, you have 3 colors of germs you're trying to get rid of, with the doc himself throwing in 2 color pills. Match up for the same color and the germ goes away. And Dr. Luigi, these are all shaped as L's. How cute. Also, I suck. I chose the lower difficulties and speeds, and even still, I felt like an old man. Everything gets messy real quick, with one bad move stinking up the entire rest of your run. But after a while of failing over and over and over again, with some practicing and prayers up above, I actually really dig Dr. Luigi. Although it's just a downloadable bonus game on the eShop, Dr. Luigi is a good game. Even if it's unfair and never gives me the color I need. Dang it! Now, if 2012 for the Wii U was the year of a somewhat rocky launch, but we're cautiously optimistic, 2013 was the year of forget it, we're boned! With the failing Year of Luigi and absolute fall off a cliff sales for the Wii U, this was about the time stockholders abandoned ship, the top CEOs halved their pay to keep jobs afloat, and the game that was slated next to win new customers over and give Wii U owners a smidge of hope was Game & Wario. Now to preface, I've never been a WarioWare type of guy. I've just never gotten that 3 AM itch of, oh boy, I just gotta shave a mustache with my Wii remote. So let's just say I was less than excited to check this one out. If I've never gelled with the other games, I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna like this one either. But after giving this one a run, I can confidently say my opinion was 100% correct, this game sucks. Like Nintendo Land, this is also a minigame collection, so you'd think they would share some positive similarities. Where Nintendo Land was super great, Game & Wario is super not. With Nintendo Land's minigames, they felt like little tech demos with creative mechanics and multiple levels per game. With Game & Wario, it puts the mini in minigame. Thank you. I'm here for another hour and a half. There's 16 to choose from here, with some being sorta creative but a bit lackluster, and the rest being low-budget mobile games. Considering when the Wii U came out, smartphones were just now getting popular. Yep, you're that old. It's not a stretch to say that most of these look like apps you would download along with Fruit Ninja. Bounce up and down to the end of a level. Ride a stick. Ski down a mountain. It's all just uninteresting, shallow gameplay that feels too weak to stand as its own game. But besides these wicked moves, the basic formulas here just don't mesh with me. This is a Wii U game, and right after launch at that. They weren't doing so hot at this point already. And with banking on yet another minigame collection, that must mean they had some killer hook with the gamepad, right? No. It seems like they thought the gamepad brought enough value to these minigames, and I would almost agree. Yeah, just about all these could be played on a smartphone, but there's a few here that use that dual screen asynchronous gameplay I was blushing about earlier, and they're actually pretty fun. For every lame-o mobile minigame that feels like a waste of time, there's another one where you have to spy on your neighbors and take pictures of them inside their houses. It's great. But even though some of these have some creative gimmicks, there's not much replay value at all. The only one I would find myself to go back and replay was Gamer, which is actually a pretty cool use of the gamepad. In this one, you play some classic WarioWare games on the gamepad, but up on the TV, your mom is lurking, and that's not a joke. She's around every corner, trying to catch you playing games. If you're caught, game over. If you run out of time, game over too, which means looking back and forth is the name of the game here. The DS under the pillow PTSD is real with this one. It really is a great use of the gamepad, and actually pretty difficult. If only any other minigames had this sort of replay value, I'd be singing a different song. But sadly, besides this one, every minigame here you'll play once and then move on, which as we all know is a delicious recipe for stay on the Wii U. Seriously, I was bored silly while playing this game. I just went back to Dr. Luigi. You know what? We're changing the ranking now. It's good, great, and would rather play Dr. Luigi. Because when it comes to Game & Wario, I'd rather play Dr. Luigi, even if I'm still sucking at it. Oh my gosh! Now exclusivity-wise, some will say Wind Waker HD is up next. And although it's true that Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD are technically not ported to the Switch, unless I want to fit in a 36-hour Zelda franchise retrospective at this very moment, I'll sum these two games up with amazing, duh, but come on, they ain't really exclusive. So although I won't include these on the Wii U's value proposition, if you want to play these games in HD with some honestly great gamepad integration, then these are well worth it. Now at this point, it's been almost a year into the Wii U's life, and I gotta say, it's pretty dang uneventful so far. Regardless of exclusivity or the games being first party, in 2013 up until the holiday season, the only noticeable releases were Dr. Luigi, Game & Wario, Rayman Legends, Wind Waker HD, and Pikmin 3. Great games in their own right, minus one, but system sellers they are not. So with next-gen releases on the horizon and slacking Wii U sales, they decided to stack their 2013 holiday lineup fat. Cause we get, count 'em, 5 big hitting games with 4 still remaining exclusive. And those big, heavy hitters save the Wii U. Dear Lord, the stocks are low, we need these games are all mixed. What should have been a slam dunk release schedule of 4 big games coming week after week was really just a clunky half-baked Sonic game, 2 already made Wii games with the letter U after it, and a Mario and Sonic Olympic Games. Yikes. Now I'll save Sonic for last because boy do I have some thoughts on it. But for the other 3, let's do some quick rapid-fire reviews. Mario and Sonic at the 2014 games. The most interesting thing about this franchise is how they somehow got away with releasing the same 2 games every 2 years. I enjoyed the 2008 version when I was just a wee lad, but even after that and the 2010 winter games, I had my fill. There's just not enough added here to justify yet another one of these. In fact, it reuses the exact same roster and minigames from the 2010 version. Seriously, these 2 are indistinguishable. You could have been showing me footage from the 2010 version this whole time, and I wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. Hard pass, I'm playing Dr. Luigi. We Fit You. Besides being mildly fun / telling me I have the BMI of a cucumber, I never dug the original, and I don't really dig this one now. And that's nothing against the actual game. It's just that out of everything here, this is the game least intended for a skinny college dude. But who knows? I did really suck at yoga. If you couldn't tell from the name, you are meant to use this to stay fit, not for riveting gameplay. So although the gamepad spices up the exercises a little bit, I unironically would rather just touch grass. Or going solely based on fun factor, I would rather play Dr. Luigi. And that has nothing to do with my center of balance results. Nothing. Wii Party U, I actually like. I was a big sucker for the original on the Wii. There was nothing more fun than booting up this game on a Saturday morning with a group of friends and working our way up a mountain Mario Party style with fun mini games and dice rolls. And although I don't like any of the main modes like Highway Rollers or Gamepad Island as much as Party Mountain on the original, the gamepad integration in the mini games and some of the game modes is what makes this game a keeper in my eyes. So Wii Party U luckily bucks this downward trend we had going, with it being a good game. I will say though, they aren't exactly lying when they stick that U after one of these Wii games. There's nothing crazy new or sequely about any of these. Wii Fit U, Wii Party U, and a to-be-discussed U sequel. They do add a little bit of gamepad integration, but these definitely should have been more ambitious. If I was a casual that was content with my Wii, which I was back then, you gotta sell me on the console. So with one good and two Luigis, we're in for quite the downer for the 2013 holiday season, which means our last game needs to pick up the slack and lead us to paradise. And it sure did. Try. Oh, oops, my bad. Now after the, to put it lightly, rocky road of the previous Sonic games from mid to, hey, they made a good one. Sonic Lost World was a supposed grand leap into the next generation. Forget our old mixed bag of the recent games, this would be a return to form that would take Sonic to new spherical heights. The team was pretty obviously inspired by Mario Galaxy and looking to make their own redefining success. A focus on spherical surfaces, a sweeping orchestral soundtrack, a vibrant next-gen style, this would be their magnum opus. It's just another mid-Sonic game. This game is confusing.
I'm a complicated guy.
On one hand, it's a janky, clunky, bug-ridden mess, stiff controls, lackluster story with cringy dialogue, and I don't have another hand. Now, yeah, that's just a joke, but it's kinda not. Who would've thought? This Sonic game has some gameplay issues? Now, explaining my many problems with Lost World's gameplay can be a bit tricky, because at surface level, it's actually quite an improvement over the previous games, and in my opinion, this one is higher up on the Sonic gameplay tier list. So like C tier. The new planetoid surfaces, although very derivative of Galaxy at times, does make the gameplay a little more interesting. But overall, despite being quite the Sonic fan as a kid, Sonic gameplay has never really done it for me. Feels like the team always has a hard time incorporating the speed elements properly, with the games either feeling too slow, too hard to control, or just not fun. Usually all three. Add on to that, it always seems to come out half-baked and unsure of its identity. Yeah, Sonic has never quite reached its full potential in my eyes. This game is no different. The basic running in this one works, but there's still that classic, what drugs were the devs on moments. Out of every Sonic game I've played, this one feels just about the slowest, with him definitely not earning those smear frame animations. Whoa, Sonic, slow down. But even when you do finally pick up some speed, the classic awkward momentum and clanky gameplay makes you slow down real quick. But gameplay aside, the real question is, how does Sonic Lost World utilize the gamepad? I mean, this is a Wii U exclusive, specifically made for the hardware, handcrafted for the gamepad. And when I entered the game's first level and was harassed nonstop to look down at the screen, I knew I was in for a treat. What innovative, unique game mechanic was I about to discover? I mean, they'd only divert your attention to the gamepad for the utmost important reasons. So what could I possibly be in store for? Yeah, it's worthless. I mean, I guess you also use it for these really basic wisp powers that I was surprised came back from Colors, but besides that and the really insightful, thought-provoking hints, you're not getting much use out of this. So although nothing is too offensive so far, I'd outright quit the game. That's because the cracks start to show not in a terrible buggy level or unnecessary forced gameplay innovation that's called the Werehog from Sonic Unleashed. Sorry. But because it feels like in Lost World, every little gameplay corner that could have been cut got Halo Reach Emil Laser Sword Death type cut. Rest in peace. The best way I can describe this cut corners problem in Lost World is actually by comparing it to the game it's most similar to, that it clearly took a lot of inspiration from, Mario Sunshine. Mario Sunshine, although a great game in my eyes, is very clearly the most jank Mario game out there. So it and Sonic have a lot in common. Stapled together unfinished levels, completely normal, not weirdly translated dialogue, and a development cycle so rushed and fast, it would make someone blush. I can't think of a punchline. But the distinguishing factor that makes Sunshine better, in my opinion, is that at its very flawed core, there's still that fundamental 3D Mario game design. It's honestly something I never really thought of or appreciated about Sunshine until I closely examined this game. In Sunshine, I was never confused on how I got to a certain location, what flood power-ups did, or how the heck certain enemies attack and how to defeat them, but in Lost World, I'm questioning if I got dropped on my head as a kid. Each level here starts the exact same way, with it dropping you smack dab in a new location with new enemies and new mechanics, with no sort of bearing on how anything works. These spinny ball dudes will hit me even if I run at them, attack them, run away and then run back at them. Well, I have no idea what to do, but if I just get hit once and collect one ring, I can keep going. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now you might say, well, you're just dumb and suck at the game. Yeah, that's why I prefer Sunshine. In Sunshine, they start the game off with this inky squid guy, and they make it clear anything ink related is toxic and bad. And through the clever game design steps of introduction, development, twist, and wrap up, I know exactly who and what these guys do, how to beat them, and it even teaches me new mechanics with Flood while I'm at it. And this applies to just about everything else in the game. Everything serves multiple purposes here. While Sonic Lost World chooses the game design step known as good luck. Nothing feels introduced, developed, or wrapped up. Just twisted. Everything in this game is just a hodgepodge of confusing enemies, mechanics, and clunky gameplay that all feels unfinished. And it's not just me not picking up certain game mechanics, it's that my critique that this game cuts corners is evident all throughout how it plays. 1 second you're ice skating on a slope, then you just spawn into an industrial factory 2D section. And then in the next level, it keeps up with that wintry snowy theme of gambling casinos. There's also entire bosses who are introduced 80% into the game, creepily talk to you during the level, and then you beat them in 8 seconds. And this weird incohesion doesn't fly because this isn't just a mishmash of levels meant to be chosen on a level select screen. There is a story in this game, but because of everything I've mentioned, it's freaking confusing. The only thing I know for certain is that Sonic is brain dead. At 2 separate instances in the story, he screws things up, which gives the main villains all their power and almost kills Tails.
Must have missed this one.
Sonic! It's a trap!
Tails, no! I'm supposed to be the fastest, but I was too slow to save my buddy.
Whoa, Sonic pal, I think you're worried about the wrong type of slow here, because you freaking kicked him into it!
And you? What were you thinking, Tails? You could have gotten yourself killed.
Although I will say, I do love how it keeps to that Sonic tradition of having perfectly fine looking in-engine cutscenes most of the time, then every once in a while sprinkling in the best looking animation you've ever seen. Sorta like the quality of these games. And yet after my constant attack / needless complaining, I can't say I hate this game. It's not bad. Sure, just about everything I've mentioned would lead you to think this game deserves to go to the deepest depths of Dr. Luigi. But although I'm definitely tempted at times, because I'm actually getting pretty good, but to be honest, this game does have a lot of redeeming qualities. And yeah, there's plenty to like here. The art style is one of my favorites in the franchise, with everything being super visually appealing and colorful. There's really interesting locations. And although yeah, maybe a casino doesn't quite come to mind when you think of a snowy winter level, and if it does, please go get some help. There's some super creative levels here. I mean, come on, in the desert world, there's a dessert level titled Dessert. Yes, I'm easily impressed. So although like Sunshine, sometimes the gameplay is so infuriating I need to take a break and make a sandwich, the levels are decently creative. And every once in a while, the gameplay hits a nice flowy groove, and although I don't care for the story, characters, bugs, glitches, holy crap, what is the level design? The great art style, bop and music, and decent gameplay make this a good game in my eyes. Freaking barely, but good.
Whew, that was cool. Pun entirely intended.
You're pushing your luck, Sonic. And rounding out the year, although not an exclusive anymore, but pretty dang important to the Wii U's success, or lack thereof, Super Mario 3D World. Now after some shoddy releases, this was the game to finish out the year, to bring the sales in, to serve as the golden standard for what the Wii U could achieve. And it's a pretty good game. Probably my least favorite 3D Mario game, but not by a wide margin. The real kicker here though is that this is no ordinary 3D Mario. This is instead a couch co-op multiplayer game, and that is a no-no. Now I'm not saying this game shouldn't have existed, far from it. If anything, I'm sure this game sold the majority of Wii U's along with Mario Kart 8, but 3D World really should have been the launch title instead of Mario Bros. U, with a single-player 3D Mario coming out sometime down the road. Because as it stands, the Wii U putting all of its eggs into the multiplayer basket its first year and leaving the single-player crowd out completely dry is, I'd argue, one of the biggest reasons this console lost steam. Just look at the first year all laid out. Between the multiplayer-focused and single-player-focused games, single-player only had 3 games. This probably has 2 of the best games out of the bunch, but this is what they banked on to please the single-player crowd? A port and an underrated series that probably wasn't gonna push consoles, and guess what? It probably didn't push consoles. Compare this to the GameCube's first year, and although it might have less games, it's a big case of quality over quantity here, with the majority of these being big, meaty single-player games, with a few amazing multiplayers. And although the GameCube wasn't a huge success, it at least had thick legs, selling consistently through the console's lifecycle, and strong legs are made from constant support and a rigorous exercise routine. That and the GameCube sold a ridiculous amount more games per console compared to the Wii U. Although Nintendo Land and a multiplayer Mario game opened up the Wii U pretty well, taking 6 months to get to a mobile minigame collection, then to a brand new entry of a mostly unknown series, then to a mixed bag of a holiday lineup, with Mario 3D World desperately holding everything together, yeah, it's no wonder the Wii U failed horribly. It was on life support before it even got a chance to get off the ground. So if you wanted the full story for why the Wii U failed, well, we're just getting started. Because it turns out there was a way out of this pit, and Nintendo knew it. Nintendo had yet revealed their heaviest hitters, and honestly, if they hadn't decided at this point to bail on the Wii U and start R&Ding the Switch, I think the Wii U could have had quite the comeback. And they came out swinging, man. Boom, bam, 2 of the greatest games from their respective franchises. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, a basically perfect sequel to the perfect Donkey Kong Country Returns, and a good single-player game. And Mario Kart 8. Yup, the same one that's out now, just minus that deluxe part, which really can't be that big a difference, except it is. Now it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out this game is no longer exclusive to the Wii U. In fact, I would say it's more exclusive to the Switch at this point, just by looking at those The only reason I mention Mario Kart 8 is because my Wii U came with it already installed, for some reason, and ever since I washed my Switch cartridge in the washing machine, no, that's not a confusing metaphor, this is now the only way to get that Mario Kart 8 fix until this decade-old game finally goes on sale. Wish me luck. Now, I never played the original much and only lightly played Deluxe, but I'm still blown away by how good these graphics look. I never knew Wario's hair could look so good flapping in the wind. I also never knew I'd speak that sentence. Now, I honestly thought I'd be stuck running bot matches, but what's crazy is 10 years and a much more successful console later, I still got online matches instantly when queuing up. Full lobbies too. And since Wii U Online was just completely free back then and is still up now, I had a lot of fun with Mario Kart 8. And although everyone has had some years of a head start skill-wise, I still gave them a run for their money. Eventually. Although when I'm in a match of Mario Kart, I'm usually pretty territorial about being the best of my character. And in a string of matches, there was another shy guy who thought he could push me around, as if he could possibly be the main shy guy. And let's just say, he was taken care of. In a weird way, there's something nice about the original Mario Kart 8. There's no DLC characters or 50 European cities, just 8 cups, 13 wasted roster spots, and the all-new 2014 Mercedes-Benz GLA. I love that this somehow happened. This is unironically the kart I've rocked the most while playing, but it does make me wonder if this horrifically weird brand deal ever actually got someone to buy a Mercedes. Even though Mario Kart 8 isn't technically exclusive anymore, it's still a great game that did wonders for the system. Now, these 2 games were really what we needed after the Wii U launch. Imagine the launch in November with a boom pow right after to keep interest high. And it shows how impactful these games were for the Wii U sales. Whereas right after launch, March to June was holy screw, we are crapped! In 2014, console sales tripled that same time frame from the previous year. If those 2 games were in 2013 right after launch, I can imagine the Wii U picking up some major steam. Now, I'm gonna assume running a multi-billion-dollar company overseeing dozens of different studios is a wee bit harder than just saying, I want these 2 games right here. But am I wrong? Now, although neither of those games are exclusive anymore, this was proof that the Wii U, through great games that didn't rely on gimmicks, could draw an audience to keep the Wii U afloat. And using and applying what they learned from these monster successes, the next exclusive was another minigame collection. Oh, it's a Wii Sports sequel? Heck yeah! Now, like many Wii U titles, I had no idea this game even existed. And with Wii Sports being one of my favorites back on the Wii, man was I hyped to learn there was a sequel. Considering Wii Sports Resort showed off just how impressive the Motion Plus could be with so many great new modes, and canoeing, let's just say this is one of the games I was most looking forward to. What crazy new sports would be added? How would they use the gamepad in innovative ways? And how would they make this small tech demo from 2006 look sad in comparison? Okay, fine. It's more of a remake that integrates the gamepad and all of the original sports instead of a proper sequel. Fine. I'm not thrilled, but you haven't lost me yet. Tennis, bowling, and boxing don't even use the gamepad. You lost me. Alright, so tennis and bowling are literally untouched, but so is my skill. Minus some slight improvements to the gyroscope motion controls, they are the exact same from the original, which is bad already. But get this, somehow boxing is even worse. Remember the straight up visceral hits of the original? Weaving in and out, firing off shots like your Mii's life depended on it? I mean, dude, every time you got clocked in the face, you could feel it. Put me back in, coach. I can fight. While conversely here, Wii Sports Club is a snooze fest, with the only change being stiffer controls. And get this, every time you throw a punch, it completely stops your body movement, leading games to feel slow, clunky, and anticlimactic. In the original, you were fighting for your life, desperately blocking shots and returning absolute bombs. And then there's the remake. What was my favorite sport in the original is somehow stripped of all of its charm and fun in the remake. What are you gonna tell me about the other remade sports, huh? Golf is ableistic now? Okay, hear me out. Alright, first off, this version of golf is a huge upgrade in every sense of the word. The updated motion controls are a great improvement, and you actually have to swing properly to get a nice shot. And the gamepad mechanic of seeing the terrain while you take the shot is pretty cool at first glance, if your glance is 20/20 vision. That's right, to aim your shot, not only do you have to look at the TV, but also down at the gamepad, and my slippers. And it is cool you get to see the golf ball on whatever terrain you swing on. But oh, what's this? The power bar to gauge your swing levels on the gamepad instead of the TV now? And wouldn't you know it, I'm blind? Yeah, for your boy without a pair of these things, my vision ain't so great. So trying to stare down at the gamepad 6 feet up looks less like this and more like this. It's not terrible, but the amount of squinting necessary for this one should be on the box. Okay, that's a joke. And sure, I'm being a big baby right now. Regardless of the extra back and forths, I will admit, maybe it's the old man getting to me, but golf was actually a lot of fun here. It carries over the courses from the original and Resort, and with the updated motion controls, and fine, I'll admit it, cool gamepad integration, this was actually a great sport I had a lot of fun with. There's nothing quite like dressing up all cute, teeing up my shot, and hitting the links. The only other game here that I would say truly justifies being remade for the Wii U is baseball. Where in the original it was straight up RNG with how drunk your Mii's decided to wake up that morning. With the Wii U, you actually get to aim your shots while pitching, choosing exactly where it lands and what type of ball you're gonna throw. And then once it's in the air, you get to use the gamepad to center in and catch it. It's actually a lot of fun. Yes! Man, that's pretty realistic. And if improvements were made like this to every sport, maybe it could be justified. But tennis and bowling being totally forgotten and boxing getting shafted the way it was is just lame. I do like that the sports were back in HD, but I'm not sure what they were thinking just remaking the original Wii tech demo. Especially after a monster like Wii Sports Resort with an entire island backdrop and 12 unique games with multiple modes inside them. This is the one you wanted to remake? Maybe it would have made sense if it was also a Wii U tie-in game that launched with the system like the Wii, but nah man, this game came out a year into the Wii U, with only 2 sports available at launch. Give whoever thought of that idea an award in the shape of a pink slip. Also, I'll admit, this is 100% a side tangent that shouldn't matter, but the new announcer does not have the sauce. In the original, it sounded like this guy was genuinely jumping for joy when you hit an absolute piss missile.
It's out of the park.
But this new guy sounds like he's gonna try to sell me furniture.
That's the game.
Now what I haven't mentioned yet is the supposed selling point that stood Wii Sports Club apart from the original. the club feature. Each person gets to choose a club they want to join where you can play together online, compete for scores, and have a sense of community. And since the game didn't even sell enough units to be posted officially, this completely failed. Maybe, just maybe, there was a little blip right after launch where enough players were on that this worked as intended, but after that small fraction of time to the literal heat death of the universe, this feature is worthless. This game had a banked on feature that will now never be used. And although not a single soul has touched this game in probably years, I do have a plan that could make this club feature all worth it. Sure, the game is worthless now, but why? Well, it's because there's not enough people. But get this, if you get 2 of your buddies to buy the game, and they get 2 more of their buddies to buy the game, and so on and so forth, well, this game is theoretically possible to have fun. But my completely legal plan aside, this game is a big disappointment. Golf is fun, but I can't get over the feeling of missed potential here. This one hurts, but I'm playing Dr. Luigi. Man, what a shame this one. And it sucks because some of my fondest memories with the Wii were the original Wii Sports and Resort. And where Nintendo could have made a huge, incredible Wii U system seller bundled in with the original, they opted for a watered-down remake instead. Words simply can't describe my disappointment. Well, except for it and sucks. But I can't help but feel Wii Sports Club is a microcosm for the failure the Wii U was shaping out to be. Instead of innovating off the success of the Wii and expanding their scopes, they simply wanted to remake the success with some fancier controls and a gamepad. And although that can work for some games, if you're gonna put all your eggs into that Wii brand, which I can't blame you after seeing these numbers, you have to make it worth it. I think they forgot that 82 million people already played these exact sports before, so when your console isn't doing too hot, you need to bring the heat. The artillery, not a country club. Now at this point, if I wasn't a certified psychopath, I'd start to question if the Wii U is even worth collecting nowadays. I mean, it started off with a banging great game that showcased the amazing aspects of the gamepad, but since then, it had 2 okay games and a whole lot of stinkers. Not ideal if you ask me. But this is around the time that Nintendo started to lock in. They tried their fun with the Wii game sequels, yeah, but now it's time to put the pedal to the metal with some real big hitters. And after Wii Sports Club, there was a really solid stretch of games rounding out the year. And although only 2 are exclusive, these 2 were the big ones. A brand new Smash Bros. And another Sonic game? Oh no, no, no! Oh, now Sonic Boom, if you didn't know, has quite the bad reputation. What's bad about it specifically? Everything! I won't even sugarcoat this. This game is in fact one of the worst games I have ever had the misfortune of playing. It's buggy, it's lazy, and by Lord up above, it's cringe.
I'm going to rid this world of all organic life forms.
Somebody needs a hug.
Maybe if it was your standard shovelware Wii game, I'd look the other way, but this is Sonic we're talking about. This is the same franchise that had games like Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Adventure 2 is good, right? I mean, it was fine, but anyway, all the Sonic games have had some troubles in the past, but even with all the garbo Sonic 06 gets, that game is at least so bad, it's good. This game, man, it's so bad. End of sentence. For starters, yeah, the performance sucks, who would have thought? There's bugs every step of the way here, and half the time, you'll wonder if the developers even playtested this game. The other half, you'll know they didn't playtest this game. This time around, you play as the entire gang, and if you thought playing as one half-baked, poorly controlled Sonic character was fun, then boy, you'll love 4 of them. Now, the whole theme of Sonic Boom was that it was gonna be a fresh new take on the Sonic formula. And we all know, Rule 101 of managing a good franchise is, once you finally put out some well-received games consistently, scrap all of it and rebrand. Each of our 4 main characters gets a fresh makeover. Knuckles is bigger and dumb, Tails is shy and smart, and Sonic gets a scarf. So with the team banking on launching an entire sub-brand with this game, with a 3DS title and TV show launching soon after, this game really needed to blow people's minds and hook them into this wacky new world. It doesn't. Opening the game up, our gang is chasing Dr. Eggman through a totally normal landscape that isn't just a video game level. And after some quirky dialogue and rough in-engine cutscenes, we take hold of the main man himself. And he looks really constipated. I know they were going for a new angle with the Sonic formula here, so it makes sense to change up his style of running. But why make him look like that? Also, the Black Ops nosedive jumps don't really help his case either. The entire opening to this game feels so horribly unpolished and janky. It's like they made this in the last few weeks of development. Like, am I supposed to be playing this section here, or is the fun watching the game try not to choke on itself? Let me answer that for you. The fun is watching the game try not to choke on itself. But after a super hands-off running section, we have exploration and platforming. And wouldn't you know it, it's just as underbaked. Yeah, that's the theme of Sonic Boom. If you thought running and platforming was jank in the other games, now try running, platforming, exploration, puzzles, comedy, bad comedy, and combat with 4 different characters. What could go wrong? But maybe the Wii U gamepad part of the game brings it up a notch, right? Also not gonna drag it out, it's so utterly useless. There'll be parts in this game where you need to find secret passages you can break by punching, but these passages are super invisible, so you're supposed to tap the gamepad to reveal them. Only issue is, you can completely snuff these out without using the button. Yep. I honestly tried to play this game with an open mind, but with such a jank opening and literally 0 promising elements a few hours in, I could not muster the strength to finish this game. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric is by far the worst, most offensive game so far, and the only one I can confidently say I've had 0 enjoyment from whatsoever. Although, there is one thing I found this game does really well compared to the others. I'm playing Dr. Luigi till the day I die. The one plus I'll give this game is, it actually makes me appreciate Sonic Lost World. I think I actually like that game now. Now, although things have been a little shoddy for 2014, it was finally time to end the year on a bang. Or I guess you could say, a smash. And after 6 years, months of hype, and the best trailer of all time, seriously, I love this kid so much, the world was finally blessed with the next Smash game, Super Smash Brothers for Wii U. Yeah, that's a weird name.
Super Smash Brothers
Wii U. Now I know they 100% named it this way, so it wouldn't confuse people getting the 3DS version, but part of me can't help but to think it was some sort of desperate ploy to remind people, hey, we have a console out, guys, it's on the box.
Just look for the U on the box.
Ugh. Yikes. I have a bit of an interesting relationship with Smash for Wii U. As I said earlier, this game and Nintendo Land were the only Wii U games I had played before collecting this thing. And where Nintendo Land was an amazing experience I look back on fondly, Smash for Wii U doesn't have that same luxury. In fact, it's a memory plagued by darkness, chagrin, and broken dreams. Where is Subspace Emissary 2? No, really, Brawl had its issues. In fact, every issue. But that campaign, man, it was beautiful. You see, Subspace Emissary is the definition of greater than the sum of its parts. Slow gameplay, rushed ending, platforming, no adjective needed. But man, if seeing all those characters interacting in slick pre-rendered cutscenes wasn't the coolest thing ever. I still get manly goosebumps looking at it now. So as a kid, when I heard a brand new Smash game came out, I was hyped beyond belief. I was excited to have some extra characters, sure, but that new campaign, man, I was dying for it. So much could be expanded upon. Sonic could be in it from the beginning. Taboo would hopefully stay dead. And when my friends and I booted it up and saw nothing of the sort, I was never the same. Up until Smash for Wii U, it seemed like the games were following a bit of a progression. 64 was the first one, so it really just needed to nail down that fighting, which it did great. Melee was the expansion, adding a brand new single player experience, incorporating all these different franchises. A tad short, but super replayable, and opened the door for something amazing. And then Brawl took it home, baby. So it wasn't even a possibility in my mind that Smash for Wii U would have nothing of the sort, since they had 6 years to make it. Oh look, nothing of the sort. But luckily, there is actually an answer as to why we don't have a campaign this time around, and I don't like it. The reason there wasn't, and still isn't, a big new Smash Bros. Campaign like Brawl's to this day wasn't due to a lack of vision or overly ambitious scope, it's because they're afraid the cutscenes will leak. I wish I was joking. That's right, pack it up. Might as well not even make the next one, cause I got an insider scoop. Mario might be in it. It really is just ridiculous. If they had to take a few extra years to keep everything under wraps, that would be understandable. But straight up trashing the entire story mode is just crazy. It reminds me of that infamous Shigeru Miyamoto quote, "A leaked game is forever bad, so just freaking don't make games." Or something like that. But instead of dwelling on what we lost, let's look at what we gained instead of a campaign. The big feature in the marketing for this one is 8-player Smash, which is exactly as chaotic as that sounds. It was fun the first few times I played, but it really is nothing too special. If you thought the camera zooms out too far to see properly in 4-player Smash, just imagine a map way bigger with 7 different Donkey Kongs trying to touch you. Ew! 7 different Warios trying to slap you. Ew! 7 different Zero Suit Samuses trying to grab you. Next up was Smash Tour, and while it's not nearly as bad as some people may say, with it being a fun enough little side mode with some extra non-fighting gameplay, it really is just a big, why isn't there a campaign here instead? Sure, there's other side mini-games and modes, but absolutely nothing comes close to the scale and quality a campaign brings. When it comes to the gamepad, it wasn't used for anything other than scanning in your amiibo. Whatever fighter you scan in, you can train and level up, and it's not my thing. And all the gamepad does other than that is mirror the TV screen. And although some might be disappointed in the lack of use it has, I honestly feel like it was justified here. Smash is supposed to be an easy to pick up fighting game, so anything getting in the way of that, like having to swing your gamepad in the motion of a punch, would be pretty weird and annoying. How could they have thought of something creative for the gamepad in, say, a campaign? Oh, you betcha. But if that's trashed, then I'm glad they kept the gameplay simple. Now, although I could never outright dislike a Smash game, this one feels like it has a huge crater in the middle. What the? Now, Smash Ultimate also didn't have a campaign I gelled with, but I still love that game due to the fast-paced and snappy gameplay. So how does Smash for Wii U stack up? Well, it definitely is a step up from Brawl in some ways, and I do remember really enjoying it back in the day. But man, compared to Ultimate, every other Smash game feels either too slow and unresponsive, or like I've done 4 lines of cocaine. No in between. So with that being said, yeah, it's fun, but it really does sometimes feel like inputs just aren't being counted. But that's all due to some wicked hindsight with Ultimate. As it stands, Smash for Wii U is probably my second favorite gameplay-wise in the whole series. It feels a little clunky at first, but once I got used to it, I had a lot of fun. And then I tried online, and I got violated. Yeah, like Mario Kart 8, the online was still jam-packed with players, and I think out of a dozen or so games, I won once by accident. Now, although I got tenderized every step I took, I chalked it up to them having a 10-year head start on me skill-wise, but I never took any of it personally. That was until I was just playing yet another online match. I choose Ike because he used to be one of my mains in Brawl, and I like his bulky playstyle. I'm getting back into the groove in the lobby, while Gio, my opponent, chooses his character, and it's go time. There was only one issue. Remember how I mentioned there can be no duplicates of my character? Need I remind you what happened to our last customer? Well, the match starts, and Gio shows up as... Forget the skill gap. My horrendous losses so far. I needed to prove myself, and our battle was legendary. I started out with the upper hand. In a glimpse of divine foresight, I parried his forward smash, taking the first stock. But he immediately answered with a throw and a decisive read with a forward air, evening the odds. We were equally matched in every sense of the word. 2 knuckleheads who decided to boot up their Wii U's a decade after the game came out. Maybe he was confident, maybe he was terrified. But there was one thing I was that he wasn't. Super freaking obsessed with winning as Ike. And as our damage increased, hit after hit, combo after combo, any high power move would end the game. He hits me in the air and goes for a neutral hit, which barely misses. As he resets down, he winds up for the big one. A forward smash that would send me straight to the therapist's office to cry. Now was my time. A parry worked before, so it'll have to work again. As he winds up, I anticipate the blow and go for the Hail Mary! I'm playing Dr. Luigi. Alright, that's a joke. Although I enjoy every Smash game out there, there's really only Brawl and Ultimate I would label as great. Great campaign, perfect gameplay. The rest are fun, and Wii U does hold a lot of quality. But without a beefy single-player mode, there's really no reason to return to this game in the future. Smash for Wii U is close to great, but is ultimately a good game. So although I don't love Smash for Wii U as much as the average Joe, It was a big deal to get one of these on the Wii U. So how did a big new Smash game help out the Wii U? Well, there's those console sales again, selling almost 2 million Wii U's in the holiday season, which may not seem like a lot by any other console standard, but for the Wii U, yeah, it's sadly amazing. Although waiting 2 years into the console's life to get a Smash out was probably not a great idea. It worked for the Wii, but that thing was successful in spite of the great games on it, so it's not really comparable. The best comparison for how a Smash game helps a poor performing console is actually the GameCube. It also didn't do too well, but Melee was forced out the door to meet the launch in 2001, and it did a lot of heavy lifting in terms of moving units. Now maybe Smash for Wii U shouldn't have been a launch like Melee, but if it came out in holiday 2013, I think things would have looked a lot differently. At this point, 2 years in, sales had fallen off such a cliff compared to the other consoles in that same time frame that just about all hope was lost. But what if I told you that 2015 wasn't just a step up from the last, but the year the Wii U turned from a failing gimmick into a console worthy of collecting, with games that were truly amazing? Let's get Kirby out of the way first though. Now Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is a game best summed up with 4 words. I'd rather play Dr. Luigi. But I can elaborate a little bit. This game is offensively forgettable. Not because it's bad, but not because it's good, but because it's nothing. Take a shot for every time I say I'm not a big fill-in-the-blank guy, but I've never been a huge Kirby guy, because they've never looked that interesting. But this one takes that to the next level. Although the graphics really are cool with the reduced frame rate claymation feel, man, drawing a line over and over and over again, it gets old quick. Yeah, if you didn't know, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse finally utilized the gamepad, and meh. At first it is pretty cool, because the only way to get Kirby to move is to draw these rainbow lines, moving him in any direction you draw. But after, say, the first level, it gets so boring. Now the game eventually does pick up with some unique boss fights and a few power-ups that change how and where you draw a line, but yeah, that's it. This game feels like what would be a minigame section in a mainline Kirby game, not a full title you pay 60 schmeckles for. In other words, I'm playing Dr. Luigi. This game is somewhat of a wake-up call, and not in a good way, because ever since Nintendo Land, I've been waiting for a game solely based around the gamepad. And that was also good. But all of the following games either lightly use it as nothing more than a gimmick, or just junk it entirely. So with Kirby going all in using the touchpad, and sucking hard at being fun, it's having me rethink if the Wii U's features were as great as I first thought. I guess only time will tell. Alright, now that that's finally out of the way, we can get to the juicy stuff. We can finally get to 2015's Crown Gem, with that being a brand new, oh come on! Mario Party 10, also known as the worst one. Well, according to the majority consensus. Now, I've never been much of a Mario Party guy, and realizing that even surprised me because I absolutely adored Wii Party and was even big into Mario Party DS. But to my surprise, I've never played a single one of the console Mario Parties before. A big reason would be there's 11 of these out there and 7 of which were on the N64 and GameCube, and I wasn't exactly conscious at the time to play them. But 8 and 9 on the Wii? Yeah, that was prime time for mini-me to get into the series, and I guess I just never did. But I do love the gameplay loop. Walking around a game board, playing mini-games after everyone takes a turn, and duking it out with some good old-fashioned RNG. It's right up my alley. And luckily, we have one of the latest games to hop right into the series, and I forgot, it's the worst one. Now for a while, I've heard that the Mario Party franchise used to be great, but somehow the series died a horrible, unrepenting death, committing the horrible sin of sticking to a game mechanic the internet deemed bad. Now what could that possibly be? How in the world could you piss off an audience for a couch co-op party game where RNG is literally the deciding factor in who wins? Where minigames make up the majority of the gameplay? Well, you put them all in a car.
Get in.
If you're unfamiliar with how Mario Party usually works, it's basically a free-for-all, where everyone is plopped on a board game and you're meant to roll dice, get items, and hop around trying to collect coins that can be paid to get stars. And he who gets the most stars wins the game. Now that's forgetting some details like how the star spots move, you can literally win by being in last place, and minigames don't reward nearly enough coins to be useful. But that's the general gist of how every Mario Party game works. But if you can't already tell, Free movement for each character is crucial. It's part of your battle plan, where you're gonna move, how you're gonna get there, and who you need to crush on the way. But when you stick everyone in the same car, forced to go on one homogenized track, what are you thinking? Now, although I heard this dreaded car mechanic was in the game, I still wasn't completely put off at first glance. Sure, it's different, but if everyone is forced to stay together, that can open some pretty unique doors for map design. Maybe the map branches off into dozens of different avenues, depending on player choice. Inventing mechanics to incentivize players to pick certain sections, or it can have literally nothing of the sort. Yeah, despite my best hopes, the main mode here is just about as bad as people say. Not horrible, the minigames are still entertaining, and they're still fun to be had, especially with that classic Mario Party RNG madness. But I'd much rather return to Wii Party, and even Party U than this one. And it sucks, because I really do like the Mario Party formula when it clicks right. And with this being the second game with the car mechanic, you would have thought they would add something new to spice it up. But what's this? A brand new mode that addresses the car issue and takes us back to Mario Party's roots? The game's saving grace and most unique innovation? Amiibo board? This was the answer to the cries for originality, and cool. Sure, I guess it's technically not in a car anymore, but there's no original boards here. Just a square you run around over and over again. And what does the Amiibo do in Amiibo Party? You know, the little figure the entire mode's based around? Well, get this. Instead of pressing A to roll the dice, you press the Amiibo to the gamepad every single time you want to roll. That's it. I was bored silly here, and if the most entertaining part of the mode is when the dice hits and knocks me over, yeah, that might be a problem. It is really funny though. There's also this thing called Bowser Party, and it saves the game. Amiibo mode, yeah, too bare bones and lazy. Mario Party, yeah, the car kinda ruins it. But Bowser Party is straight up super fun. It's not a classic take on the party formula, but a stellar innovation that not only adds a whole new dimension to the gameplay, but incorporates the gamepad expertly. In Bowser Party, you can choose to either be one of the 4 main characters in the car, or the big man himself, chasing after everyone else. This is where the car mechanic makes sense, because it's not a free-for-all anymore. It's us against that dude. The main goal of the crew here isn't to collect coins or wacky stars, but to stay alive! Everyone has hearts this time around, and if Bowser comes over to lay down a beating in a minigame, your goal is to lose as little as possible, while his job is to touch you. And these minigames are awesome. Although there's not as many as I would prefer, they use the gamepad in really unique ways, from some pretty cool motion controls to spin, 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 spin! On the board, you try to collect and roll dice to get away as far as possible, but where you get 4 players with 1 dice roll each, big man Bowser gets 6 dice, and he'll always be close behind. Not only do the minigames incorporate the gamepad, but even when progressing through the map, there'll be points where the party comes to a crossroad. To them, the path forward is smudged up, but for Bowser on the gamepad, you can see exactly which is the good or bad path, so your goal is to trick them up. So with some clever mind games and a bachelor's in psychology, you can always be 1 step ahead. I guess I'm too smart. But it really is super cool. The mode is great, and the gamepad actually feels vital here. And although 2 out of the 3 modes are not it, this game is a close good one in my eyes, by just a hair. And I know, this might be my most outrageous take yet, but dude, the Bowser game mode is fun, and it uses the gamepad really creatively. Sue me. It is a shame that to most people, this is just another subpar Mario Party, and they're kinda not wrong. But the days of controversial opinions are over, because the game that came out next not only was universally loved, but perhaps the biggest bright spot for the Wii U as a whole, because it has one of the few things the entire world can agree is super neat, especially Japan: Squid People. I'm just the messenger. Alright, let's take a guess. Am I much of a Splatoon guy? Oh, I hate LaCroix. Who would have thought? I've never played a single one of these games before, because I'll be honest, Splatoon looks goofy. Since this series started in the downtime when I wasn't big into gaming, I just never really gave it a chance. But one of the great things about collecting the Wii U so far is it's finally introduced me to some franchises I would have never played. Some for the better, and some for the worse. But Splatoon is a breath of fresh air, man. This was Nintendo's take on the team shooter, and it shows. Bright and colorful graphics? Check. Easy to pick up gameplay that appeals to the whole family? Check. Deep lore that deals with the annihilation of the human species and fish racism? Check. My first impression when booting Splatoon up was this is epic. And also, oh my gosh, I finally used the gamepad's gyro aiming. And this is the game changer. My aim has never been great on console games, so aiming in the general direction you want to shoot while moving the gamepad around to get that precise movement was super helpful and truly innovative in the shooter scene. The great thing about Splatoon is that it has everything you could want from an online shooter game. The core gameplay is intensely fun, but it's held up by vast customization, a beefy single player campaign with interesting lore, and multiplayer modes you can drown countless hours in. And boy, I did. Now I knew that Splatoon had you shooting people with ink, but I always figured it was a team deathmatch type game. Yes, I was that uncultured. Little did I know, for the main mode, the winning team is determined from who covered the map with the most ink. And this game mode is too much fun. Not only is it intensely satisfying, filling every last nook and cranny with ink, but it makes PvP a really interesting tool. You can either go whole hog Rambo, gunning every last opponent you see to send them back to spawn. Or if you're more of a pacifist, try sneaking over to the back lines and inking their side. I would find myself doing a mix of both, depending on the game. Sometimes if both sides were bloodthirsty with some World War I trench warfare type stalemates in the middle, I would just mosey my way over to the quiet side and fill in the gaps that most people didn't even pay attention to. And it makes all the difference. With there only being 4 players per side, your contribution feels just right. If you slack a bit, your team can carry you to victory. But if your team is struggling, you can still be the deciding factor in winning. And just like Smash and Mario Kart 8, no matter what time of day, there were full lobbies every time I queued up. So after putting an embarrassing amount of hours in, I got to try out all the different weapons and gadgets in the game. And let me tell you, there's nothing quite like whipping out the paint roller, bulldozing a few enemies, evading some fire, then blasting them away to smithereens. And then you immediately die because this thing sucks against guns. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here! Overall, Splatoon is an absolute slam dunk, and exactly what the Wii U needed. A brand new IP that not only brings something entirely new, but takes an old formula and turns it on its head, all with that Nintendo charm. And fish racism. Splatoon is a great game. Well, we finally got another great one. That's good to hear. Splatoon was so much fun, I'm even looking into buying the third one. Later. So it's such a new experience that revolutionized the shooting genre that perfectly utilized the gamepad? How well did Splatoon help the Wii U? Doesn't seem like it moved too many units in America. But over in Japan, if you take into account that America's usually selling 4 times the consoles per quarter, holy moly, Japan sure does love their squid people. Although I will say, over in America, this is the one game during the time I actually did hear about. Might have taken me 9 years to play it, but out of everything released, Splatoon was the talk of the town. And yeah, it sold really well compared to the console sales, and obviously becoming a big thing today. But even after all these smash hits, why was the Wii U still failing to grab an audience? I mean, a few of the games here are true system sellers years down the line. Well, as it turns out, you can have all the great games in the world, but you gotta sell it to your audience. So now I think it's sadly time to talk about the marketing. You see, I always thought the Switch's marketing was genius. Show the ingenuity of the console, the appeal, the award-winning games, then take a solid step back and let the rest work itself out. But where did they learn that, you may ask? Well, by doing the exact freaking opposite with the Wii U!
And we've never had so much flippin' fun together.
Now, although I never had a Wii U as a kid, I do remember the marketing. And it was something. Now, I honestly don't remember explicitly rejecting the Wii U on the basis of artistic advertisement integrity.
Hot buttered popcorn, that's a deal!
But they sure didn't get me to ask for one. Half the time, it was a focus-tested family in the living room, talking up whatever new game came out, pretending to have fun. And the other half was drug-induced mania.
Woshi! It's a double Yoshi explosion!
It is important to remember, they were still thinking they could replicate the Wii's success, which was all about wacky, cool game controls with the whole family. But when that's not working anymore, and you're still dying by that model, it's gonna alienate the rest of the normal game console audience. Younger people, older people, dudes in their 20s who collect Wii U's a decade after they come out because it's a better money investment than the freaking stock market. I'm not even kidding. These ads in retrospect just feel like they were trying too hard. It turns out the most effective way of selling a console with Mario Kart isn't a crazy expensive commercial with everyone racing in the living room driving off the walls, but to show the console with Mario Kart. Overall, despite some good ads every once in a while, the challenge of having to explain to a general audience what a Wii U was, why they should buy it, and try not to cringe them away altogether just wasn't a feat Nintendo accomplished. Didn't stop them from putting out their best games this year though. I'll save myself a LaCroix here, because I actually have played a Yoshi game before, way back when with Yoshi's Island DS, and it was a lot of fun. Revisiting it years later, I can tell I wouldn't have liked it as much now if I played it for the first time, but I still got my nostalgia goggles on when playing. It's a good game. All's to say, I wasn't too excited to play this game, especially with how bad the ads were.
Woshi! It's a double Yoshi!
No! But I'm glad I can say I was honestly surprised with how relaxing this game is. The first thing you'll notice is the visuals. Everything is made of yarn this time around. The backdrops, the enemies, my man Burbert. I respect the dedication, and it all pays off, with it being a super pleasant aesthetic. But getting into the game, I didn't expect the gameplay to be all that, but the controls are really responsive and slick. There's nothing too crazy going on with the base gameplay, with insane new moves or anything, but there are the usual transformations to spice things up from time to time.
Woshi!
No, I was expecting your typical plane or water level transformation, but nah man, the first one Yoshi turns into an umbrella. An umbrella! The controls are great, with such pleasant visuals, tight gameplay, and I'd argue the best Yoshi soundtrack out there. This game was such a pleasant surprise. Add on to that, the level design is always giving you something new. I was thinking it would go for the standard green levels in the first world, sand second, with your snowy water and lava levels later on. But nah man, they hit you with brand new areas whenever the heck they feel like it. And there is always something interesting and unique every level. Overall, this game is one Mega Charm explosion, and I gotta be honest, I've had presuppositions going into every one of these games, but this one is by far the one I was most wrong about. I figured it would be teetering on Dr. Luigi, but overall a good game. But I love this game. It is great. Yoshi's Woolly World is a great game. Biggest surprise so far. And what a combo coming out right after Splatoon. But the great games don't stop here. While Yoshi's Woolly World was an amazing single-player experience, our next game took the entire Wii U player base by storm. So really just a slight breeze. Bad joke, but this next game truly was revolutionary. Okay, who would have seen this game coming? After a decade of the new Mario games, everyone was getting a little sick of the same exact thing over and over again. So Nintendo said, fine, here's another one. But there's a twist. You get to do all the work. Now that might sound weird at first, and I'm sure for lots of people, this game is a big no thank you. But for me at least, I really dig it. In Mario Maker, we're given the keys to make our own Mario levels. And where you would think it would be nothing but moving some blocks around with the occasional Goomba, they brought everything in the kitchen sink with them here, with most of the tools, blocks, and styles from all the previous 2D games. Now I usually stuck with the Mario 3 or Mario World styles because the original and new ones are, butt ugly. They do have their uses here and there though. But just look at how Mario runs in the 3 style. You can't not like that waddle. Now although level editors are nothing new in, well, every game, Mario Maker was freaking made for the Wii U. This is where the gamepad really gets to shine, because you can use the touchscreen to choose items and can drag and drop with ease. Where a controller or motion control pointer would take ages to make a level, the gamepad makes this all seamless. It's probably the best use of the touchscreen so far. Now what's weird about Mario Maker is I am not much of a make my own fun type of guy. My Minecraft is survival. My Animal Crossing characters are all dead because I stopped playing years ago. I just usually like structure or a reason to keep playing in most of my games. I need an end goal, so just making random levels in Mario Maker shouldn't be that fun for me. And to be honest, it's complicated. I really do enjoy making levels, pouring hours into one project to fine-tune it and make it great, picking out certain enemies and obstacles, mixing challenge with levity to create the perfectly paced level, but there's one problem. Let's just say I'm not very gifted at level design. Yeah, I'm not winning any awards. But then why do I even like this game so much? I mean, there's barely a single player. What else can I do? Well, there's a little thing called mooching off other people's hard work. Oh yeah, baby, you can play all the levels other people publish. Now, although there's a Mario Maker 2 on Switch with the whole world editor and all that fancy stuff, Mario Maker on the Wii U is unique in that, sure, there's your usual well-designed levels out there that put game philosophy and mechanics to the test, but since there's only one level published at a time, you had to stand out. So it made people get weird. Really weird. Just scrolling around, you'll find some of the most creative levels you'll ever see. It really is amazing hopping in a level and having zero clue what you're in for. Some levels are about speed and accuracy, trying to time every jump perfectly. Some are about slow-moving exploration and discovery, trying to find the right path to take. And some are whatever the heck this is. But overall, Mario Maker would be fun regardless of playing other people's levels. But holy man, this is one great game considering the amazing levels other people have made. Good thing these are here forever, right? We'll get there. But as is, with such a cool premise, robust gamepad integration, and genuine fun in making levels, Mario Maker is another great game. It's nice to get yet another great one. We're really on a roll. I wonder what could be next. Oh no. Welp. Now to preface this game, I have two amiibo. A Dr. Mario because he's my main in Smash, and dude rocks the outfit. And Link from Tears of the Kingdom because... yeah. So I actually thought that I lucked out when it came to Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, because by the looks of it, you need an amiibo to even play the game's main mode, which is kind of insane. And I would not go out and buy one just to play this game. So when I got to the main menu screen, I was actually pretty excited to hop in and see just how bad this game was gonna be. Okay, fine, I've gotten this far in the list, so I caved and got the only Animal Crossing character I can relate to, Mr. Tom Nook. And I got in, and after giving Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival a solid run... Have you ever heard that this game is bad? That it pales in comparison to every game before it? That it's not even an Animal Crossing? Well, they're underselling it. I knew going into this game that this wasn't your typical Animal Crossing, and had a weird board-like structure to it, and that was about it. But little did I know, that's about it. There's not even a menu screen, game options, or anything to customize the experience here. This is the only mode in the game, and the only way to switch it up is to buy more Amiibo. Or these weird cards that I also don't want to buy. Now when this game originally came out, it was packaged with 2 Amiibo, but oh my gosh, they still sold it for 60 bucks. And like Wii Sports Club, these games post the 2-year window they had at the start to the end of time will be judged how I judge them now. Meaning, this game doesn't come with an Amiibo anymore. Meaning, this game is worthless if you weren't as desperate as I was. But we have our Amiibo now, so we can play the game. Starting up your match, Goldie will give you a rundown of the hell coming your way, explaining the rules, how the events are laid out, and then stealth bombs that this will take an hour and 15 minutes. Now you can set a timer to abruptly cut off and end the game halfway through the month, but like any true red-blooded American, I'm playing Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival the way God intended. So I downed a LaCroix, canceled my nightly plans, and got started. When hearing people dunk on this game over the years, I never actually knew how the game worked, so I'll give you the rundown. Starting out, there's 2 different types of spaces you can land on, pink and purple. Pink spaces give you notes and bells, and purple spaces make you lose them. 1,000 bells translates to 1 note, and the goober with the most notes by the end of the month is the winner. Every game starts out on the first day of whatever month it is when you play, and depending on the month, the scenery and monthly events will be different. Nothing too radical to change up that riveting gameplay loop, but I guess if you're a die-hard Amiibo Festival enjoyer, this spices it up every now and then. So throughout the month, different characters will come by and change up the board, with most just giving you a dice card you can hold on to use later. So really nothing. So once the game began and I got Mr. Tom Nook in there rolling dice and walking around, I kept waiting for the gameplay to start, you know? Because as is, it's like a Mario Party game with a board, and that's cool. But I was waiting for how Animal Crossing would bring their own creative spin to the formula and the minigames. Well, it turns out they actually added a really cool innovation called locking the minigames behind the Amiibo cards! The absolute balls you have to not only lock the entire game behind an Amiibo, but then further lock the only fun parts of the game behind more cards, tips this game from a greedy, abhorrent excuse of a game that calls into question the ethics of capitalism to straight up funny. So yeah, the main mode doesn't even have any minigames in it, which will have you asking, if you remove the minigames from a Mario Party-like game, isn't that just rolling dice and running around on a game board for 30 minutes? That sounds boring. I suffered through this game way longer than I care to admit, and the gameplay never started because this is the gameplay. That means this game could be ran through an algorithm 95% of the time. But where is that 5% of player control, you may ask? Well, I forgot to mention, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival isn't actually a soulless Mario Party clone. It's actually an extreme stock market simulator. Once a week, Joan will stop by and allow you to buy turnips. They go bad after 7 days, so whatever you bought needs to be sold in the next few turns. And the price you sell them at is different on each space, and changes week to week. Sometimes it's average, sometimes it's turbulent, and sometimes it's the 2008 housing crisis. It's funny because I do not see this mechanic brought up enough. The winner of this game is almost every time decided based off these stupid turnips and what price the space you land on is. It's the most control you get in this entire game. And buying $20,000 worth of turnips, then seeing my life savings vanish before my very eyes, made this game kind of amusing by the end. With only a few turns left in the game and 1 day left on my small country's GDP amount of turnips, I was neck and neck with girl number 1. And if I didn't flip these babies for a good price, she would for sure snag the win. And with a toss of the dice, another LaCroix down and a prayer up above, I roll a 6, putting me on the money space. I felt like I was right on Wall Street, cashing in my millions, minus all that cocaine that they do. And it got me the win. So although this entire game could be ran by an algorithm, save for which direction you choose every 11 turns, and if you're holding a dice card, this little stupid turnip stock market is the most interesting thing about this game. And it almost makes it good. Make no mistake, I'd much rather play Dr. Luigi, but out of all the bad games so far, this is the least offensive, and just plain funny at times with how weird it is. If it incorporated different modes, any sort of gameplay besides gambling turnips, then I would probably really dig this game. But considering after spending an hour and 15 minutes, this is what you unlock, I'd rather play Dr. Luigi. And keep in mind, there is no regular Animal Crossing game on this system their fans could fall back on. This is it, baby. Now buy some more Amiibo and roll the dice. Now after that insult to my wallet, I think it's time we address the Amiibo-sized elephant in the room. Amiibo. I waited till now to bring this up because this game was by far the worst of it, being a shining example of how not to incorporate these things. You see, the whole point of Amiibo was that sure they were cool little figures, but in each game, they would unlock cool little bonuses. Keyword little. And in most games, that's exactly what it does. Dr. Mario gives me a Doc costume in Mario Maker. Link becomes a trainable fighter in Smash. But very quickly, these went from small bonus unlocks into say, I don't know, a third of the game being locked off. Or in this case, the entire game being locked off. And it's such a bad idea, it took me way off guard. Because I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't actually think you needed an Animal Crossing Amiibo to play Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, but now that I say that out loud, it sounds really dumb. I don't know, I guess I had faith that there was something in this game for people who didn't want to shell out for an Amiibo, but no, they took that naive optimism and beat it to death in front of me by locking the minigames behind cards. If we're looking for more reasons the Wii U failed, Amiibo is high up there as one of them. Because it is a really cool idea, but having hundreds of these out there made it nigh impossible to make all that extra content for every single game. So it seems like they got overwhelmed and or just lazy and just took chunks of the game and locked them off behind Amiibo. And when you lock off major content from games on an already failing console, congrats, you're dumb. And if you wanted to know if they learned their scummy Amiibo lesson at this point, well, this next game will answer your question. No. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash seemingly started the trend of Mario sports games that you play for 45 seconds, then say to yourself, hey, that was pretty neat. Is there literally anything else I can do besides this brief cycle of gameplay? No. Okay, bye. Now, I haven't picked up any of the Mario sports games after Sluggers on the Wii, so I really had no idea what I was in for. And that's not because I don't like Mario sports games, quite the opposite. I just need literally any reason to keep playing. As gameplay goes, it's that standard Mario sports game quality. Well polished, a bit on the simple side, and I'm bored already. Booting the game up, there's Classic Tennis, Mega Battle, Mega Ball Rally, and Knockout Amiibo. In any other sports game, everything here would be just a bonus mode you pick from the game's setup options. But in this game, this is the game. No story mode, campaign, literally anything. It's as if in a Smash game you took out all the game modes and rules, but had a whole mode on the front screen called 8-Player Smash, and then axed the entire campaign just for that. Oh wait, and don't get your hopes up about any gamepad implementation either, because it is used for absolutely nothing, as is the trend for these non-tentpole releases, so the whole Wii U part of this game really doesn't matter at all. Which sucks, because if you're gonna avoid an entire single-player experience, at least give your remaining customers some bang for their buck. But nope. Now I would love to say more about this game, but shoot, I've been pushing it as is. Classic Tennis is Classic Tennis, Mega Battle makes characters big, Mega Ball Rally makes the ball big, and also, buy Amiibo. But oh, what's this? An online feature? Now when I saw that online feature, I got a good chuckle, because, yeah right, I'm sure they shut down these servers years ago. But no, they were still up for me to search for games. But yeah, good luck. This game only sold a measly 500,000 units worldwide, barely more than Wii Sports Club, and I couldn't find a single match on there. And for perspective, the Switch Mario Tennis sold 4.5 million units, 9 times this game. Not only that, but for me to get an online match, someone would have to willingly dust off and boot up their Wii U, have this game 10 years after it came out, and consciously sit down as a rational human being juggling responsibilities, life aspirations, goals, struggles, time restraints, family issues, inner conflicts, and say to themselves, I gotta play Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. And imagine my shock and horror when I got matched up instantly. There she was, waiting for God knows how long to play the worst Mario Tennis game. And who was I to say no? Only, when we got into the match, there was one problem. Louisa must learn. So our battle began. She started with a perfectly timed serve, but I returned with a high lob. She strikes back with an overhead smash. A body shot. Playing dirty, I see. It was time to turn up the heat. Hit after hit. Return after return. Tennis balls flying at speeds unheard of. Technique only seen in World Championships. I was giving it everything I had. Desperate sprints across the court to return the ball. I had to prove I was the superior Mario. Nothing else in the world mattered. And she destroyed me.
Receiver.
Now I guess she was too scared of my potential because after we matched again, she backed out. What can I say? I guess I strike fear into my enemies even when I lose. But yeah, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, even though mildly amusing when I'm sweating my cheeks off over beef I made up in my head, is still one horrendously boring game when you get down to it. The gameplay loop is there, it's fun, but there is literally nothing keeping you playing. No campaign, no incentives, no unlockables, no grace from the wrath of Dr. Luigi. Man, this one's a shame, because I really do like Mario sports games when they have that sauce. The good ones are proof that with a good amount of content and multiple modes, you can play these forever. And the bad ones, well, they go in the Dr. Luigi pile. Speaking of... I've never played a Xenoblade game before. The only things I know about this franchise is from Smash. I know that Shulk is in it, and for some reason, Pyra and Mithra have, advanced physics. And that is it. And at first glance at this franchise, I was kinda dreading this one, because looking at how long it takes to beat, oh man. I've also never been huge into the Japan anime games. Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy, the character designs just don't jive with me, and usually the high-pitched weirdo voice acting wears me down after a while. So I was fully expecting not to like or even enjoy this game. And after a super in-depth custom character screen, super long intro cutscene, and even super longer tutorial, oh my gosh. Fine. It's pretty good. I think I opened up Pandora's box. Right after some healthy exposition, you awaken on an alien island, and you have a case of the old classic silent protagonist amnesia. Here you meet Elma, and thank goodness it was her that found you and not this dude. Would not have been a pleasant sight after losing your memories. And after a little beginning section, you learn that some people from Earth crash landed on this planet Mira, and have a base set up a ways away. So as you're headed there and the weather clears up, you get to see just how gorgeous this game is. I do not get it. This is the same console that has games that look and chug like this, and yet this game looks kind of jaw-dropping at times. In this little beginning section, you get to try out the combat, and it's really interesting. Right off the bat, I was hooked, because I've never played a game like it. The gameplay is much more stat and weapon based than twitch shooting, with you having to target enemies or certain appendages, then choosing the right move for the job, all while your character auto-fires. So right after the first few enemy encounters, really nice graphics, and interesting story setup, I was really excited to keep playing. Then we get to the base, and oh my gosh. Now I know with lots of these Japan anime type games, they love their long-winded out dialogue. But dude, it felt comical at times. I get there's a lot for me to catch up on, and a lot of the exposition is interesting, but there's gotta be a better way explaining things to me than walk 5 steps here, 2-minute cutscene. Walk 5 steps there, 3-minute cutscene. Walk into the barracks to meet the colonel, 10-minute cutscene. I wish I was kidding. Now none of this straight up ruins the experience, as the information they're telling you is actually important. In fact, the story told in the cutscenes is really interesting. There's great moments with impactful flashbacks and dramatic music, but it does make it a little bit harder to be invested when the cutscenes are 8 minutes long, all while the character mouthing away is stuck in the same unexpressive idle animation, with the occasional panning shot in the same idle animation. Sure, this whole beginning totally could have been summed up in a better, more streamlined way, but as is, this game is a whole lot of fun. Present tense though, because I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, remember that whole 269 hours to completion? So I'm gonna slow burn this one and finish it over time. So although I haven't 100% completed it yet, unless it falls flat on its face and calls me a mean name at the end, this is one awesome game. And sure, it's definitely got that Japanese jank to it.
What the bloody hell is this dancing turnip doing here?
But all of it is way more charming than anything. With this game being made in Japan, it was hilarious to see how they view Americans, considering we're for some reason the main faction in this game. And whereas over here in America, we paint ourselves as one with nature. Tree huggers. We just like to pet animals. While Japan has a bit of a different take. Heavy rock music, metal armor suits, big buff dudes. Kill every wild animal you see before it kills you. New colony on an unnamed planet? Name it freaking New Los Angeles. You see these aliens? Tell them about democracy. You know things get real when choosing the diplomatic answer option turns out to be the wrong choice.
We come in peace. And we're willing to negotiate.
All Earth aliens must die.
This is a great game. Overall, Xenoblade X and Yoshi's Woolly World are tied for being the most surprising games so far. I didn't even think I would enjoy either of these, but both turned out to be way better than I had imagined. And that was 2015, an abnormally amazing year with some of the highest highs and lowest lows. It does suck that some truly amazing games seemingly got overshadowed by the announcement of Nintendo's next console. You heard that right, just 2.5 years after the launch of the Wii U, Nintendo announced that the elusive NX was in development. Man, they weren't even subtle that they wanted to old yeller this poor console. But the Switch was coming in 2017, so we still have an entire year of games to look forward to for 2016. And after such an amazing year, with more great games than the previous 3 years combined, oh man, was I excited to see what sort of bang they would end the Wii U on. Oh, that sort of bang. Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't a big gaming guy around this time because holy crap, this year seems rough. But hey, on the bright side, I can say I was excited to play 2/3 of the games here, right? Oh boy. Let's say it together, I have never played one of these before! Now like Xenoblade, the only things I knew about this game were from Smash. Fox and Falco are the main characters, and I never even knew Wolf was in Brawl. Besides that, I've heard the occasional compliment about the N64 game, but then apparently after that one and Assault, they just stopped making these. So all's to say, this game was quite the wild card. Star Fox is one of those Nintendo franchises that seems to go dormant for a while, but when it comes back, people are always excited. And with heavy emphasis on the gamepad and the marketing of this game, I was sure this was gonna be another hit. Another Xenoblade Chronicles X situation, right? No. This is a weird game. Never before in my life have I played a game that had so much potential, yet was so criminally unfun to play. Since Sonic Boom and Wii Sports Club. Anyway, this is apparently a retelling of the original game from what I can tell, and the beginning does do a great job explaining what's going on. We meet the crew, the world, the furry drama, and get set in for our first level. Only when the gameplay starts, there's only one issue. It gives you a brain aneurysm.
Thanks for the friendly fire, Looks like
sorry. Now what's interesting is in the trailers, the gameplay actually seemed really cool. Everything important is going on the TV, while that precise aiming is on the gamepad. And that seems baller, right? Splatoon used the gyro aiming perfectly, so this one will too. Then you play it for yourself, and something went wrong. You're torn between looking up at the TV to see what's going on, and then looking down at the gamepad to actually have a chance at shooting something. Oh my gosh, this might be the worst controls I've ever seen. Note to the developers, having two eyes doesn't actually mean I can look at two different objects at once. I mean, you can try, but I would not recommend it. It seems like they went so overboard trying to use the gamepad in a wacky, innovative new way that they forgot to make it playable. Sure, you can turn off the gyro aiming, but that still doesn't solve the problem of having to swap between which screen you're looking at every 2 seconds. This takes everything that worked about asynchronous gameplay from the other games and somehow makes it not work. It's easy to swap between screens when you're playing a casual party game like Nintendo Land, but fast, intense space vehicle combat? Heck no, my eyes hurt. And then there's the other vehicles you can pilot. It seems like these are in the other games too, but not for me. And this especially sucks, because this game actually has hints of fun. The story is basic, yeah, but the graphics are nice, music is boppin', and when the gameplay works 8% of the time, it's an awesome 8%. At times, this wasn't just a good game, but bordering great. You're flying in space, dodging projectiles, shooting down an enemy ship, all while the music crescendos, then you lose track of an enemy, overcorrect with the sticks, have to look at the TV, then back down again, and this game is in the Dr. Luigi pile. This one really does hurt, because there's great potential here, and it sucks that this game seemingly put the series back on ice, with no big Star Fox game releasing since. Speaking of franchises that definitely don't have enough installments, I've decided that the quality of this review will reflect the amount of effort that went into this game. Luigi! Before we get to our last exclusive, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this journey. Throughout this journey, I've played some games that were truly amazing, and others that have made me question if I even like games. But as we near the end of this Wii U marathon, I have a confession to make. You see, my reasonings for collecting a Wii U weren't just a spur-of-the-moment decision, as I might have conveyed. I'm far too broke for that. Instead, I was all but forced to get one if I ever wanted to truly live the Wii U's intended experience. I dare not drag this out any further. The dang internet's off! Now the eShop has been down for a hot minute, but the online servers for multiplayer games like Splatoon and Smash were seemingly gonna be up for the foreseeable future. Until they weren't. Now if you've made it this far and you've picked up one single detail, it's that the Wii U failed hard. And Sonic Boom sucked balls. But I don't think anyone expected the online to be shut off just a decade after launch. And although the Switch is a totally different beast, if the same rules applied, they'd be turning off NSO 4 years from now. That is crazy talk. Now the Wii's servers shut down 8 years after launch, but all the games that used it, barely, still stood on their own without multiplayer. But with these 8th gen consoles, online functionality was now the selling point for some of these games. Splatoon, Smash, but man, the one that hurts most of all, Mario Maker. Once they turned off the internet, every user-created level is officially gone. And this seriously has a domino effect on if the Wii U is even worth collecting anymore. Splatoon is now only relegated to single player, Mario Maker is now just making your own levels, and Wii Sports Club doesn't really change. No one was online when I tried playing anyway. Now, although this does mega suck that I can't get mad at someone over Mario Tennis Ultra Smash anymore, I do understand the decision. The online this entire time was completely free, and it was for a console that flopped big time. But this issue is a new one in gaming. So many games nowadays aren't just online focused, but online exclusive. Some games don't even come in the box anymore, but are downloaded once you put the disc in the console. What happens when those servers are shut off? It's a scary thought, but at least for the Wii U, there are some consequences. I really dug Splatoon, but there is no offline turf war or any sort of bot matches besides single player. So sadly, I have to bump it down to just good. Solidly good though, because the single player is really addicting and fun. After giving every other game a thorough thought, everything else is safe. Smash stays good, Wii Sports Club still sucks, and oh, yeah. This game with user-made levels is great. It truly is. But man, I am not talented enough to have fun creating levels forever. It pains me to do this because it truly was revolutionary for the Wii U, serving as a shining example of the console's potential, but this game is sadly moved to... I'd rather play Dr. Luigi. I know. But do I even need to show you Balls number 7 again? I spent an embarrassing amount of time on that one, and without user-created levels, I really would rather just play Dr. Luigi. Now obviously the game isn't bad, but does it bring any value to collecting a Wii U nowadays? Well, after the old shutdown, I would say no. So with those two tragic losses, I think it's finally time to conclude this saga with the last Wii U exclusive. And boy is it something. Now after the, to put it nicely, diverse quality of everything I've played so far, we arrive at what is probably the most controversial game on the Wii U. A game so disputed that pitted brother against brother. Sweaty nerds that don't shower against other sweaty nerds that also don't shower. Paper Mario! You know that silly little Mario spin-off series that features wacky Mario characters in crazy situations? It's caused wars. From everything I can gather when it comes to public perception, the first two Paper Marios were amazing. The third one was a bit different, but still good. And then... the Great Schism. Sticker Star seemingly took the new and unique Mario characters, RPG-style combat, and intriguing story from the older games, and chucked it right out the window in favor of a boiled-down vanilla Mario setting. Quickly, defenders and critics took sides. Entire wars were waged! On the internet. Yeah, after just one little lackluster 3DS title, the entire Paper Mario fanbase was irreversibly fractured, and it's remained just about unchanged ever since. And that puts Color Splash in a unique position. It was the first game to come out after Sticker Star, and was seemingly a direct sequel, carrying over the same gimmicky combat, vanilla Mario world, and sidelined story. And with the Wii U and all of its games not looked at in the best light near the end of its life, things got hairy. So fans of the older games were quick to cast judgment. Ignore this latest game, nay, banish it from the Paper Mario canon. There's nothing of quality here. So for the longest time, I'd always assumed Color Splash was in the same lane as games like Amiibo Festival or Sonic Boom, as an all-time Wii U stinker. And if it's not obvious by the 3 cans of LaCroix absolutely destroyed, I've not played the majority of these franchises before today. And that's partial reason why I even wanted to collect this thing. But out of all the unplayed franchises, Paper Mario is probably the series I was most excited to try out. Throughout the years, seeing its fans battle back and forth about the quality of these games showed me there's obviously something here that some people connect with so deeply.
This is a fool! This is a... Ah!
But if we're going by strictly console Paper Marios, it seems like I'm starting with the worst one. But you know what? After playing through the entire game, beating every level, finding Justice Toad's shiny tidy whities, it ain't bad. Look, I was fully expecting to hate this game, suffer through it, give me a medal I played through the bad one. But dang it man, this game kinda rocks. Right off the rack, this game makes a great first impression with a dark and moody cutscene. It's a stormy night, and Peach knocks on Mario's door with an anonymous letter. A letter that turned out to be a toad? This immediately raises so many questions. How was the toad's color taken? And who could have possibly been behind this? It's Bowser. Kinda. But it is a great opening, establishing a vicious plot of someone stealing the color from toads, and you need to stop him. And as the game kicks off, it really does have amazing graphics. This is the first one that truly looks like real paper. The whole aesthetic is a home run, and don't even get me started on the paint hammer. Throughout the game, you're tasked with restoring paint to Port Prisma. So not only are you looking for paint stars by completing tasks like climbing a mountain or getting in a fight with a stake. But around the world, there'll be blank spots you can fill in with paint using your hammer. And why is it so satisfying? Seriously, the spots give you coins as a reward, but I honestly think I would be doing this regardless. My caveman brain just can't get enough of it. Although I will say, pretty early on, it's clear that this one takes after Sticker Star's creative limitations. The only named characters are paint-based puns. And yeah, the rest of the game keeps up with this vanilla flavor of Mario. Shy Guys, Koopas, God-level Power Toad Trinities, what? And although yeah, I think I would prefer the 1,000-Year Door approach to storytelling with unique characters, I honestly don't mind that this one is more simple. Sure, it's weird when most major characters are just different colored toads with no names, but it's a purely cosmetic issue to me. Because they are still characters with personality and some mini story arcs, they're all just toads this time. It definitely is a weird limitation they for some reason felt the need to have in this game, but it honestly doesn't bother me that much. Because at the end of the day, this game gets right the things it needs to get right. The story is intriguing, the graphics amazing, the music is catchy, humor is witty, and the combat is bad. It's so bad. I'll try not to bore you to death with a game that's already been dissected by a blue puppet for 8 years, but this combat? This does not work. If you're confused why any grown adult would care this much about a kid's game combat system, don't worry pal, me too. Until I played it. And all the other Mario RPGs, they had very basic turn-based combat. But like the setting and characters for this game, basic isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, in this case, I would bring out the tried and true quote of, if it ain't broke, you're not special, stop trying to fix it. In the other games, you select the basic attack or item and then perform the attack. Boom, bam, super simple. But in Color Splash, every attack is now a disposable card you'll find in the overworld. If it's from hitting a question block or straight up just buying them, it seems like a pretty innovative combat system at first glance. And once you get into a battle, all the combat preparation is done on the gamepad now, which actually seems pretty cool. So here's how a single turn plays out. A charming loading screen that takes you to the battle. Alright, now look down at the gamepad to pick a card. Look around to see which card you need, and if you wanted one at the far left, well, get scrolling, pal. It'll take a while. Once you finally find the cards you want, you have to drag them up, click on each card separately to fill it with paint, then click again for cards ready, then swipe up to throw the cards on the screen, then the attack plays out. Oh yeah, and that's the advanced combat option. So when you're running around a level constantly getting hit everywhere you go, you don't want to break the game and use that flee button. It would be too easy. A slippery slope. So you stick it out and fight. Swipe cards, fill paint, cards ready, swipe up. Alright, back to it. It's not that bad, I just need to avoid a few enemies and alright. Swipe cards, fill paint, cards ready, swipe up, okay. I really need to avoid enemies. I mean, the story and overworld gameplay are fun enough. Just gotta focus, come on! I mean, that flee button is right there. I could bypass the whole process. No, so you fight on. Swipes here, scrolling there, swipe, swipe, press, flick, swipe, no! Battle after battle, sneak attack after sneak attack, paper pun after paper pun. Each time you see that battle sequence start, the clock ticks away. Minutes, hours, years tossed into the shredder. Did you miss a doctor's appointment? Will you ever get to see your grandkids? The battles just keep coming and all you have to do is click a single button and it'll be over, so you click it. You've skipped half the game. I can honestly deal with the generic boiled down Mario world. I'd even say I don't care. But this combat system is a deal breaker for how often I'll replay this game. Because as is, I've really dug the story, exploration, and really great writing. And although the combat as a gimmick was cool at first, man if I'm not running for my life to avoid any extra time wasting combat. And that is a big no-no. In the other Mario RPGs, I go out of my way to battle because I want to earn XP and level up. But Color Splash, oh boy. When I get ambushed and a combat sequence starts, I'm debating putting the game down. Color Splash by far has the biggest separation between highs and lows from all the games I've covered today, because for 80% of the game, it's honestly great. This has to be one of the best Mario soundtracks, period. And that HD paper aesthetic is so nice to look at. Also, the humor in this game is seriously clever at times. Games especially can fall into a weird cringe state when humor is their top priority, but man, these toads are sassy, and I love it. Everyone's throwing shade at each other for some reason, and it's just a good time. So although the combat is a big ol' stain, and yeah, there were points I was inching my way towards Dr. Luigi, Paper Mario Color Splash is an amazing game, held down a bit by its combat, which makes it a solidly good game. And there we have it. every remaining Wii U exclusive reviewed. We've looked at good games, we've looked at bad games, and just making sure Sing Party's still in the trash. Oh boy, am I exhausted. Today's felt like it's went on forever. There's only so many hours you can sink into Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric before thinking, what am I doing with my life? And then switch over to Amiibo Festival. But I gotta say, the Wii U did have some great games. Splatoon got me hooked my first match, and Xenoblade has me scared I might like this franchise now. Truly terrifying. And if you look at the original Wii U games that have been ported to the Switch, it makes this console that much better. Overall, with the Wii U story all told and every single remaining exclusive reviewed, the good, the great, the would rather play Dr. Luigi's, the Wii U is one interesting console. A sequel to one of the most successful consoles of all time, but an utter flop. A really interesting gamepad idea with such unlimited potential, but an utter flop. If I had to sum up the Wii U's life in one poetic yet eloquent sentence, it would have to be, what were they thinking that first year? No, really. I had always heard this was the dark age of Nintendo, or that the Wii U had terrible games. But it was really just 2013 to blame. With such a great launch in 2012, games and sales-wise, 2013 was such a nothing burger, even with a year of Luigi. Instead of bringing their heavy hitters, they waited 8 months after launch for the next game, and it was Game & Wario. Yeah, no wonder sales fell off. Not to mention, the games that actually used the gamepad well came well after the Wii U was dead and buried. If Mario Maker was a launch title, this thing would have doubled console sales. Do I have any sort of data to back that up? Absolutely not, but I said it. I really do think that 2013 was the first and final nail in the coffin for the Wii U. Yeah, the marketing was cringe, sure Amiibo didn't help, and oh yeah, the U is still a dumb name, but if you want to know a little secret to make a gaming console succeed, it's the games. The gamepad could have had a next-gen scratch and sniff feature, but it wouldn't have changed anything. The only thing that matters is what games are on your system and how accessible they are to your audience. Launch your system with 2 good games? Oh look, it does well. Have nothing come out for the next 8 months? Oh look, you're dumb. I really do think it's that simple. So although everything I went over regarding the Wii U's failure story factored in some way, the real reason the Wii U flopped wasn't because of a bad name, the cringe marketing, or greedy Amiibo practices. It's all of that, but in a cute little bow called What a Horrible Launch Year. But luckily that's all in the rearview mirror. With now every game reviewed, the entire console story told, and 3 too many LaCroix drinking, I think it's time to answer the question burning in the hearts of everyone around the world. Is the Wii U worth collecting? And after all of the good, the great, the innovations, the life-altering experiences, I can confidently say, no. Okay, wait. It depends on the person. People have different tastes. Some people's taste would be seeing a game like Sonic Boom and buying the Wii U just for that alone. And some other people's tastes would be sending that dude to prison. But overall, I think deciding to collect a Wii U comes down to many factors. The games look good enough. Is it even worth the exuberant prices? And for lots of people, I would say no. But if you're an absolute cornball like me, then it is a resounding yes. As I've said for hours at this point, the charm levels of this little console is off the charts. Although I think the GameCube is still my favorite Nintendo system, the Wii U is pretty close behind it. It just has an amazing vibe to it, and logistics aside, the gamepad really is a great controller. Yeah, it is just a Switch prototype in retrospect, but with the great games that utilize it and backwards compatibility with the Wii, there is some serious value here. Not to mention, this thing is an emulation machine. Its virtual console carried over from the Wii, with games from every console being playable. And with the 2-screen setup, even DS and 3DS games can be played too. So after purchasing all of these legally, oh my gosh, you can play any game on the Wii U. So even without exclusives, this gives this system insane value. But when it comes to different people's tastes, some look at a console quality solely through the exclusives on display. And obviously, yeah, that is a huge factor. But in reality, there may be a time when there are no more console original exclusives. And that would be a good thing. We want these games to be enjoyed by as many people as possible. So judging a retired console on just its exclusives doesn't quite seem like the whole picture to me. Because if we solely determine the value of a system based on the number of games it runs, then I guess my PC is technically the best Nintendo console. And yeah, sure, I can run most of these games on my PC through emulation, but do I want to? Not really. I don't know why, but I much prefer to play these games the intended way. I want to feel the original controller in my hand as I absolutely weep from boredom while playing Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. It's just part of the appeal to me. So is the Wii U worth collecting to the average Joe? I would say maybe, depending on their tastes. But if you made it this far and didn't faint from the quality of Sonic Boom, then dang it man, the Wii U is 100% worth collecting. What the? Oh, this is just a LaCroix-induced fever dream? I didn't even buy the Wii U? Well, I guess I convinced myself. If I had to choose between buying a Wii U with all the amazing exclusives, emulation features, and endless charm, or this $300 Bob Ross toaster, well, I think I know which one I would collect. I can only afford one, but I'm not stupid, so I obviously went with the Wii U.